Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Synced Up Equipment Basics. My name is Kyle, and today we're going to be learning how to do a cone. So cones overall is an exercise that teaches us how to carve through space at multiple different levels. It also is frequently used in a lot of choreography and can be seen as a primary prep for a lot of the standard tosses that you'll see in the future. If you haven't yet, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell icon down below so you can be notified with any of our uploads in the future. And with that done, let's go ahead and learn how to do cones. So like I said earlier, cones is an exercise that teaches us how to carve through space. We create two cone shapings in the upper and lower space that when put together create this sort of an hourglass shape. In this video, we're going to be going over the major checkpoints that you pass through as you are creating these shapes, and then we're going to also learn how to pass through them smoothly to then do the exercise full out. So we're going to start with our quarter checkpoints, which are the smallest positions you'll see as you go through the pathway of a cone. We begin at our right angle. If you aren't familiar with this position, please visit our previous video on basic holding positions for flag so you can familiarize yourself with the starting position of cones. The first quarter checkpoint that we're going to go to is this flat position right here where my flag is slightly in front of me at the 45. So similar to the right flat position we discussed before, but I'm pushing that silk slightly forward to the corner of the room, cutting my toaster to create this first angle. This is the first quarter checkpoint that you'll see. Notice my flag is still flat, my arms are still boxed out, but I'm just pushing the silk slightly forward. So giving you a side profile, starting from this right angle right here, I just push slightly to the forward 45, keeping my flag flat. After this quarter checkpoint, we're gonna push our flag up to the angle in front of us. So I'm gonna push my flag out, so giving you a side profile right here. My flag is in the center of my body, but it's out at this 45-degree angle. My left hand is close to my body and my right hand is extended straight in front of me. My hand is in line with my forehead right now. So be careful not to lift it up above your forehead or push it down below. You wanna line it up so that way the angle of your flag is correct. So moving on from this forward angle in the center of my body, I'm gonna move to the next checkpoint. You take the right hand and you cross it over to the left side of your body, and then the opposite hand crosses over to the opposite side of your body. This is an opposite hip-shoulder angle, similar to how we started, except I'm crossing my hands to create the opposite angle. My right hand is in line with my left shoulder, and my left hand is in line with my right hip. My flag is still parallel to the wall in front of me, so from a side profile, it's here and I'm not crossing any sort of weird angles staying in my toaster, but from the front profile, I'm creating this hip-shoulder angle on the opposite side. So from this hip-shoulder angle right here, I'm gonna take my right hand and I'm gonna lift it up above my head and push my left hand out in front of me. Right now, my left arm is straight and my right arm is bent above my forehead. So I'm creating the opposite angle in line with the front of my body. So the first angle we created was with the silk out in front of us, but now I'm bringing the silk behind us. My opposite arm is straight from the original position. So we started at this cross angle and then we brought the silk around over our head. Similar to the other angle, be careful that you're not lifting that left arm too high or bringing that right arm too low, and vice versa, not raising that right arm too high. We want to create that perfect angle by letting that right arm be slightly bent and above our head and that left arm being straight in front of our sternum. So from this back angle right here, I'm gonna move my flag to a flat position in line with my eyes. So I bring my right hand down and counteract the motion with my left hand so they equally move the flag, and I line up the top tape with the center point between both of my eyes. My flag is flat and in parallel with the wall in front of me, so I'm not cutting any weird toasters, planes or anything like that. I'm keeping it flat in line with my eyes, and my elbows are still nice and boxed out. So we went from this back angle and we pulled it down to flat. From this flat position, I'm gonna push my right hand out to the bottom angle in line with the center of my body. So this is the third angle in the center of our body that we've seen, except now we're in the bottom space. So I push my right hand out, my right arm is straight right now, my left arm is bent. Be careful that you don't push that left arm too far because then you create a vertical shaping. You wanna create an angle, pull that left hand closer to your forehead, and make sure that right hand is truly extended and not pulling back on itself. So pushing out. So we went from flat and then we extend it out to our angle position. From this angle position, we're gonna make the other cross hip shoulder angle. My right hand is gonna cross over to my left hip, and my left hand is gonna cross over to my right hip. So we started at the regular hip shoulder angle, we saw the upwards cross angle that we were at, and now moving from this angle, we're crossing to the last crossed hip shoulder angle. Again, my left hand is in line with my right shoulder, and my right hand is in line with my left hip. My flag is still parallel to the wall in front of me. I'm not creating any weird plane cuts with the angle, but I am at a hip shoulder angle here. Once we've hit this crossed hip shoulder angle position, we're just gonna pull our flag back to the starting position of the regular hip shoulder, and this is gonna be our last quarterly checkpoint for the cones. So just one more quick recap of all the quarterly checkpoints. We push out to flat with the flag slightly at that forward 45. From there, we push the center of our body with our flag extended out at the forward angle. From here, we cross to the opposite crossed hip shoulder angle, flag up to the left side of our body. We pull that flag back behind us in the center of our body, but the silk is at an angle above our head. Following this, we pull to a flat position in line with our eyes. Then after that, we push back into our last centered angled position with the flag extended out in front of us. From here, we cross to our last crossed hip shoulder angle, and then we pull back to the starting position of the regular hip shoulder. And like most of our other exercises, you can do all of those quarterly checkpoints on the other side as well. So just a quick recap of that. Take your left hand, place it on the tab, right hand at the bottom tape, and create that left angled position. From here, you push the silk out to the flat angled position where it's slightly in front of you. And then we push out to this forward angle. My left arm is extended instead of my right. I create that cross hip shoulder angle, the first one that we see. From here, I pull it back over my head. My right arm is now extended. Then I pull it around to this flat position in line with my eyes. The silk is on the opposite side of my body now. I push out to our last forward or in center line angle. From here, I cross to our last crossed hip shoulder angle, and then I pull it back to our starting position. So now that we know all the quarterly checkpoints, we're gonna move into the half checkpoints. The cool thing is that you guys already know the half checkpoints. They are the in-betweens of all the quarterly ones that we have learned. The reason why we separate these and we isolate each individual one is so that way as we progress through the exercise, we can smooth out the motion over time. So as we go over and review these half checkpoints, make sure that you're passing through each of the quarterly checkpoints. We may not be stopping at them, but there's still a checkpoint that you see as you move through each of these positions. So we're gonna be starting in the same position that we did for the quarter checkpoints, which will be this right angle. Instead of stopping at this flat forward angle position that we did for the quarter checkpoints, we're just gonna pass through this and go straight to the forward angle in the center of our body. So starting from the right angle position, I'm gonna pass through that flat and then extend out in front of me. And this will be my first stopping point for the half checkpoints. After you've reached this point, you're gonna round the silk around to this cross angle, not stopping at this position, just passing through it, and then pulling all the way around to the other angle in the center of my body, except this time with the silk above my head behind me. So again, we're not stopping at this cross angle, we're just passing through it. So going from here, I round it around and then get to here. Once we've reached this back angle, I'm gonna pass through again that flat position at the eyes that we established. Again, not stopping here, just passing through it, and then pushing down to that forward angle in front of us, but with the silk down this time. And then once we've reached this position, we're gonna round out the pathway one last time, going through this pass cross position, and then finishing it out back to where we started. So altogether, we start at this right angle. We push out to the forward angle where the pole is in line with our body and the silk is out to the angle. We round it around to the back angle. The pole is still in line with my body, but the silk is behind me, still in the up space. From here, I pass through that flat position, going around to the bottom angle. The pole is still in line with my body. And then I finish it out by circling through that cross position and finishing where we started. That is the half checkpoints. Same as the quarter checkpoints, you can do all of that on the left side. So you'll start in your left angle. You'll first push out to the forward angle. You'll bring it around to the back angle. You'll push it out to the bottom forward angle, and then you'll circle it around to where you started at that left angle position. So now that you understand the quarterly checkpoints and the half checkpoints a little bit more, all you have to do now is connect the ideas together and make it one smooth motion. So we're gonna start in the same place that we've been starting, which is gonna be that right angle. And instead of stopping at each of the positions that we've gone over today, you're just gonna connect them all together smoothly to make it one solid motion. So you'll do 2 cones, 1 top cone, and 1 bottom cone until you finish back to where you started. And that will be a complete 2-cone phrase. When you're doing this all together, ultimately you can do as many as you would like. In the future, there will be exercises that specify how many, but for now, feel free to do as many as you need. That'll help you understand the technique a little bit better. And then just like the quarter and half checkpoints, you can do this on the left side as well. So you'll just take the flag over to the other side and go through the same positions that we have gone over, making it a smooth motion until you get all the way back to where you began. So now I want to go over a little bit more detail about some things I want you to be aware of as you're going through your cones. As we were going through each of the checkpoints, I kind of talked about the angles in relation to your body and specifically how you should extend your arms to create those angles. And the reason that you want to make sure that you're really focusing on that is that way you truly create 2 cones in front of you. For example, this position right here, which is the first half position that we talk about. My right arm is extended and my left arm is close to my body. But if I push that left arm out, notice how I create a vertical position. And if I started at this angle and then went to this position right here, that's not passing through the proper checkpoints and creating a proper cone. Another example will be this back angle right here, where your right arm is bent and your left arm is extended. If I push that left arm higher than in line with our sternum, like we discussed earlier, then I create a flat position and my cone looks like this here, instead of staying in front of me and creating a circle above my head and a circle below my head. From there, if I push that left arm too high, I'll create a flat position, and that's something that we want to avoid. So just make sure as you're going through your cones that you're really double checking each of your checkpoints and making sure that you're at the proper positions for each of them. Something that I have not mentioned yet that you want to be aware of as you're doing cones is making sure that you use both of your arms equally. So the tendency for some people to, as they're doing cones, is to keep whichever hand is on top still and only move the hand that's at the tab. So that looks like this right here, where you're moving the right hand or whichever hand is at the tab and you're keeping this one still. Notice how that takes my body off of center and it moves the flag around an uneven point of spin. So you want to make sure that as you're doing your cones, you equally use both of your hands to keep the center point of the flag in the center of your body. If I do this, that center point shifts over to the side and we want to avoid that. So as we go through all of the cones, I'm using both of my hands equally and letting them cross. Think of like a witch's like cauldron is in front of you and you're stirring the cauldron, whether it be below you or it be above you. You want to use both of your hands to stir that pot as you go through your cones. So again, just making sure don't isolate only one hand, use them both to your advantage. And overall, if you double check those checkpoints and make sure that you're using the proper technique to create a cone, you'll see that it makes 1 cone above you and 1 cone below you, which creates that hourglass shaping that we were discussing earlier. So that looks like this: upward cone, bottom cone. I'm creating it at these angles and making sure that I'm not going to that flat position to distort the shape that I'm trying to go for. I want to keep it at the upper angle by passing through the positions that we clarified earlier. So just to kind of review everything that we've gone over today, we went over each of the checkpoints that you'll pass through as you create cones, that being the quarter checkpoints and the half checkpoints. And then we talked about how to connect them together to create a smooth and continuous motion of a cone altogether. Following that, we talked about how to create the proper angles of flags, making sure that we're hitting the right positions and not overextending into a flat position or cutting too short into a vertical position. We also discussed how to use both of our arms in our cone and not isolate just one. And then lastly, we talked about the shaping that you'll see as you go through cones. And that was our cones exercise video. I hope you guys learned something new, and please make sure that you take the time to practice this because like I said earlier, you will see cones a lot. So it's really important to make sure that you know this fundamental idea in flag spinning. Anyways, I hope you guys had fun and I'll see you guys on the next one.